So whenever you're asked a question, rather than go straight into the answer, take an opportunity to tell the questioner, I know why you're asking me that question. Right. Because if they're asking you a question, it must be important. So it would be good if you could tell the questioner, I know why it's important. So for example, the question might be, tell me a time, Tony, when you shown integrity and made a difficult decision. Your opening line should be, for me, integrity and professionalism are the two most important parts of policing. Without it, we lose the trust and confidence of the public that we serve. As we can see right now, UK policing is in dire straits. The public simply don't trust UK policing. As a police officer, I'm going to bring the highest levels of integrity. And this is how I'm going to do it, by describing this following example. Then you tell the story, okay? If you start off all of your answers like that, and I'm going to give you another few answers, it really pitches your answer up here. So then naturally everything else is going to be raised by that. So if the question was around takes ownership, one of the questions would be, too often the public believe that the police don't take responsibility or pass the buck. They're unavailable to get updates and simply don't take ownership of what they're supposed to. As a police officer, I'm going to take ownership of everything I'm responsible for. And the following example will tell you exactly the sort of police officer I'm going to be when it comes to taking ownership. Again, you started off up here, and you're feeding the answer back to them. If it's innovative and open-minded, and you start off your answer with, there's only one constant in life, and that is change. We know that society is changing on an almost weekly basis. And if policing doesn't change, then it simply cannot serve the public. It needs to serve. Policing has to change. The example I'm going to talk about is how I will not only support change, but I'll be the person that comes up with ideas to bring relevant change. If the question is transparency, then you say, look, it's important that police officers are transparent with the decision making. If you don't tell someone why you made the decision, they're simply not going to understand why you made it. They may lack confidence in your decision. They may lose trust in you. As a police officer, I'm going to always take an opportunity to explain why I made the decision, especially because if I tell them why I've done something, then I can get feedback. They might think, well, actually, Tony, have we thought about this? And that's how I'm going to develop myself as a police officer. Now, the final question in this sort of section is public service. So if the competency or the value is public service, you say, look, policing is a public service. The public pay good money to us, for us to look after them. They rightly expect the highest levels of professional public service. And the example I'm going to give is going to show you the sort of service I intend to bring to policing. Now, for all of you, if the question is public service, don't worry about the word public. Delete it. Just think about service, because not all of you will be serving the public in your current roles. For future-faced questions, what there'll be, I think they're going to be a couple. To your answer, Tony, it's about 5 or 6 minutes per answer. Future-faced question could be, as a police officer, how are you going to deliver community engagement? And I think a good opening line for that, and again, this is for everybody, is that the Peeling principles are the public are the police are the public. Peel never said some of the police are the public and some of the public are the police. Very sadly, there are some communities that simply don't talk to the police because they don't trust us. As a police officer, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to research the communities that I'm responsible for. I'm going to find out which of those communities don't talk to us, and I'm going to go and talk to them. I'm going to go and have a coffee in the coffee shops that they socialize in. I'm going to have a sandwich in the cafes that they socialize in. I'm going to go to the churches or temples that they pray in. I'm just going to busy myself with trying to understand why don't they talk to us. And then when they tell me things need fixing, I'm going to go and try and fix those things. And if I can't fix them, then I'm going to say, look, I really tried, but I couldn't fix it. I'm really sorry. But by now, I'll have established a relationship with them. They now trust Tony, because Tony's the one that's constantly there, constantly trying to fix things for me. Tony then begin to trust you. And once they start to trust you, I will then encourage them to consider joining the police. I'm going to I'm going to arrange for them to come on a ride along. I'm going to arrange for them. Thank you, Tony, for your feedback. Arrange for them to shadow me, because the best form of community engagement is having better representation in policing. And so by doing that and doing it consistently and insistently, that's the sort of police officer I'm going to be, because I'm going to follow Peel's principles. Peace for the public, public of the police. If the question is how are you going to maintain professionalism, then the answer is going to be along the lines of, again, I said earlier on, lack of professionalism is driving down confidence and trust in the police, and the public simply don't trust us anymore. And I am going to be a highly professional police officer.